Hello there, welcome to the Road to Nowhere channel. For those of you who haven't been here before, my name is Poppy Rowan, and alongside our channel partner Jordan Tones, we create content based around topical issues, mental health and human-centred conversations. So just quickly a little bit about my own training. I had some very brief training with the QPR Institute, which is an amazing charity. QPR stands for Question, Persuade and Refer. The QPR gatekeeping training allows you to persuade them not to do anything drastic and not to take their own life, and also refer them on to a medical or mental health professional. Now this video is also about helping yourself, so if you are maybe having suicidal thoughts or depressive thoughts, this video is definitely for you. I will say that there is a lot more information on our previous 6 one-sentence spark videos, so if you do want to go into a little more detail on some of the things that we talk about today, then please do refer back to those videos for further help. So first of all, I would like to talk a little bit about a lovely man called Ray Cullen. He probably doesn't even remember me, but he is the one who facilitated my training with the QPR, and he's also the man who founded QPR and the other well-known charity known as Talk to Tom. You may have seen some of the posters. I know that there's quite a lot of them within the UK. Amazing charity. If you do want to give it a further look, I will leave some more information that is in this leaflet in the description, and also some more about Talk to Tom as well. Ray spoke so much about mindset, and I'm going to go into some of those stories and anecdotes that he gave to me during the training, which he called life-saving stories. He has heard from so many people all over the world that these stories have stopped people from going through with the suicidal thoughts that they may be having, so please do stay tuned for that coming very soon. Now, I may have mentioned a little bit before about how important mindset is, and you can definitely find that on some of our previous videos, but I just want to re-emphasise that no matter how long you've been saying nothing helps, no matter how much advice you've received in the past that you may not find has helped you, there is something out there for everyone that can just spark a complete change in your mindset. But the most important thing to do is be open to it. I know that it may feel so painful and that no one else in the world understands, and no one could possibly even understand it, because how can someone else understand it when you don't even understand it maybe? But if you're not open to any kind of help, then it's not going to go in. If you're telling yourself nothing ever works, there's nothing that anyone can say to help me, if you're telling your mind those things, you're saying that inside your own head, your body's going to listen and it's going to say, you know what, okay, that's fine, I give up, I'm not going to take in anything that anyone's saying, and it's not going to help you. You need to, as hard, and I know that it's easier said than done, completely just absorb anything that anyone says to you. It's important to know that we can recondition our mind. Things that we watch, programs, sad songs, if we're listening to someone who's talking about how sad they are all the time, if you're just constantly listening to yourself talking about how sad you are all the time, then it's all you will ever know. We are what we surround ourselves with. Change those routines, change those bad habits. Don't allow yourself to sink into that pit. Do not surrender to it. Keep your mind completely open for anything that can turn your day around, for anything that can turn your mindset around, and it will happen for you. Basically, Ray told me that your mind works in images. So a lot of the time, our mind, our subliminal conscience, immediately, if we hear a trigger word, then our mind will go straight to whatever image has been built in there subconsciously. So for example, if you close your eyes and I say this next word, a lot of people get the same image. So close your eyes, please. And if I say Las Vegas, a lot of people tend to get bright lights, casino, things like that come straight into their mind. Bright lights is the main one that's usually associated with it. And that's because of how many films and things that we've watched in the past, that anything that's set in Las Vegas, it's bright lights, it's casinos, things like that. So our mind has been conditioned that way. However, if we trained ourselves to think of something completely different for Las Vegas, it won't be bright lights that you see anymore. And I need you to know that it is very, very hard to start, just like anything, but once you get into it, it's very, very easy to retrain your mind about any subject, about anything that may have triggered you to go into a depressive state or sad state in the past. you can retrain your mind out of that. So another thing that I'd like to say is that Ray had said that no matter how alone you feel, no matter how minute you think that your problems are in comparison to anyone else's, or massive you think your problems are in comparison to anyone else's, there is someone out there who has felt the same as you. And I know it may be hard to believe, but you know, there's been so many people who have been in your position and have gotten through it and came out stronger on the other side. So never ever feel like you're alone, because even though you may be physically alone, mentally you're in the same spot as a lot of people, especially now, sitting here in 2021, with the world being the way that it is. Never ever feel bad for feeling bad. There's help out there for every person. You are not alone, and if you don't feel like you've got someone, you know, just on the other end of the phone like most people do have, then give me a message, give Road to Nowhere a message, because we are more than willing to listen and more than willing to help in any way that we can. So there was another one sentence spark from Ray, is that 90% of the people who have jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge, which is a very famous bridge which a lot of people have sadly taken their own lives by jumping from it, 90% of the people who have survived that jump have said that instantly, as soon as they took that jump, they regretted it and they wanted to live. Now it's sad, because I think of, you know, how many people who maybe didn't survive that jump who also had that same regret. But it just showed to me that you never fully appreciate what you have until you nearly lose it. I think that's what happened whenever people took that jump and then instantly regretted it. You know, they didn't think that they wanted to be here until they were faced with nearly not being here. So just take in all the good things that you have in your life, all the good people who would miss you so much when you're not here, and they will miss you regardless of whether you maybe haven't spoken to a certain person in 6 months, 6 years. If they ever heard about your passing, it's such a gut-wrenching feeling knowing that someone has taken their own life. And I promise you now that every single person has a lot of people who would miss them, and who would be saying, if only they had have spoke to me, if only they had have told me that they were feeling this way, I could have helped them. And I promise you that you're not an exception to that case. Another little one sentence spark is that you may have an uphill battle, but as soon as you get to the top of that hill, you can see the way out. You can see the journey's end. You can see how, and this is another one sentence spark that's actually a story. Every project or work shift or whatever it may be is so hard to start, but see, once you start it and you start to see your progress, you start to get that little serotonin boost of like, oh, look how far I've came, look what I've done so far, I can nearly see the finish line here. And those little natural boosts of serotonin is enough to get you to the end. I think that's the same with anything. If you start a day and you know that you're feeling really, really rubbish, and you know you're having those dark negative thoughts, just do some of the projects that you maybe had on your to-do list that day, or you know, reach out to a person and ask for some help. And starting that uphill journey will be hard. Once you get to the top, and once you get to the point of, okay, you're halfway through that project, or you've asked for a little bit of help and you've got that first reply, you can already see the finish line, you can see your progress, and it's just a massive boost for yourself and for your own progression. So please do start that uphill battle, and I promise that once you finish it, you will feel 10 times better than when you started it. So this is probably the strongest anecdote that Ray told me as part of my training. I would like to share his story. This is Ray's story, and I know that he won't mind me talking about it because he uses it in his training. So Ray basically had lost a loved one, Tom O'Flaherty, who was the reason why Talk to Tom started. Basically, Ray had a lot of heartache. He was always a very, very hard worker. I know that his trade was very, very physical. I think he was a builder or a joiner, and all of a sudden he fell off a great height and really, really, really hurt his back, which meant that he could not work anymore. Now for Ray, this was his whole world was tipped upside down. He did not know what to do with himself. He had never been in this position before. He had never, not been able to work. He went into a very, very, very depressed state. After a while of contemplating, he made the very clear decision in his head that he was going to take his own life. So Ray had made the decision, yes, I'm going to take my own life. I don't want anyone to find me in the house, so I'm going to do it on a family holiday. He planned it down to the last detail. He knew when he was going to do it, he knew where his family was going to be at the time, so that no one could find him, and he had this very, very clear and consciously made decision in his head. Now, for Ray, he couldn't see any way out. There was no way that he could ask for help because it was a physical problem that could not be fixed. For him, he didn't think it could be fixed. There was no way around it. There was no way that he could get over this depression of this physical injury. Until one day, I think it was a few days before he was due to go off on the holiday, and he had a doctor's appointment, and the doctor pushed him a little bit, talk about how you're feeling. Ray told him a little bit about how he was feeling about the injury, how down he was not being able to work, and the doctor said, Ray, why don't you think you can work? And Ray was like, well, my back injury, I can't do it anymore. And he was like, the doctor was like, Ray, you were so good at your trade, why don't you teach people how to do what you used to do? Why don't you teach people? And for Ray, all the lights just started going off in his brain. It was like he could see that pathway of how to live. Do you know what I mean? Like, as I was saying earlier about that uphill battle, and being able to see the path at the end, by the end of it. That's exactly what happened for Ray. All the pictures in his mind started to change whenever he thought about taking his own life. It was like it was as if he broke out of a dream. It was like, how could I have ever been thinking about that? Like, of course I can teach people how to do it. Like, I love that story because he had made that decision in his brain, but he held off, and something came along which completely changed his mindset. And that honestly, truly can happen to anybody. You have a reason to be here. You are amazing. You are cared about. You are loved. You are appreciated. And it may not seem like that now. Maybe you've become disconnected to family and friends. But I promise you, those connections can be remade, and your mind can be retrained into having different images whenever you think about certain subjects, and you have the power within yourself to be happy. Sometimes it's too hard to think of your own path in your own head because the depression or the sadness or the anxiety creates that foggy sort of mist inside your own head, and you can't really think straight. I understand it. I get how hard it is to be able to think logically when you're in that sort of mindset. But sometimes it just takes someone else to say one little sentence, and it'll completely clear the fog, and it will make you see the path. I really, really hope that this QPR series has helped, but stay tuned for more exciting things coming from Road to Nowhere. Stay kind, stay safe, stay positive, and look after yourselves. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!